Do you have children? Grandchildren? How will they fare in a brave new world of automation and Western decline? We all want our loved ones to do well, but in these uncertain times, can we really guarantee their ultimate destinies? Social media, drugs, bad decisions. Wouldn't you want someone there to pick them up if you couldn't? A place they could go to get the help they needed? The Christchurch Youth Hub will be that place. Doctors, counselling, courses, supported living, employment assistance, and an alcohol and drug-free social space to protect our future from our past. This is the dream of Dr. Sue Bagshaw, an amazing lady who has saved my life and limbs on countless occasions. And not just me, everyone who grew up in Christchurch since the 198 Youth Health Centre, now the 298 Youth Health Centre, opened, everyone can say that they were helped by Dr. Sue, either directly because they went there, or indirectly because even the kids who didn't go there benefited from her early intervention on outbreaks of glandular fever, other communicable diseases, and the societal costs of drug addiction. Myself, I can only tell you I wouldn't be here speaking to you today if it weren't for Dr. Sue. As a teenager, facing puberty with a childhood history of sexual abuse and a head full of existential questions, I had no other adult willing to listen. And not only that, but she cured my physical maladies and often talked me down on suicide. But those are sad stories. Let me tell you a happy Dr. Sue saved my life story. I've been touring the country dressed as a giant head louse. Yes, you know it, you heard that right, giant head louse, as part of a public health campaign to stop to reduce the incidence of NITs in primary schools. When I came back to Christchurch in the midterm break, I had this terrible headache, just worse than any headache could possibly be, and it got so bad I could no longer think. So as usual, I went and dumped it on Dr. Sue. She did some tests, gave me some antibiotics in the meantime, and told me she'd be in touch, though I was flying back to Auckland on the weekend. Unfortunately, I was neither very good at self-care nor self-organisation, and leaving Christchurch in a fluster, I forgot to take those antibiotics with me. But back in Auckland, my boyfriend, Trent, was very upset because he knew, again thanks to Sue, that it was very important that I take them all. Where do you get backup antibiotics on a Saturday night in Auckland? Well, his brother's dog had an infected face from trying to eat a hedgehog. So we took a look at them, and they were just generic antibiotics, same as mine. So me and the dog Louis shared them in the meantime. Back in Christchurch, the Youth Health Centre got my test results, and it was meningitis, deadly without treatment, and even then often resulting in brain damage and limb amputation. Sue tried to ring, but there was no answer. She feared the worst, as I was often a little bit blasé in keeping alive. When she finally got hold of me, she sounded so relieved, explained that it was meningitis, and that I must keep taking those antibiotics no matter what. I started to explain how I'd left them down south, and she all but shouted, "How are you still alive?" So I explained about hedgehogs and dog antibiotics, and I'm sure she shook her head. and mused about me having some sort of secular intercessionary saint watching over me. I'd just always thought that saint was Dr. Sue. The fact that Dr. Sue has kept me, a truly feckless person, alive all these years means that with proper support and proper funding, there is nothing that the woman cannot do. I know that this is a meeting about getting resource consent, but are our young people not our greatest resource? To those of you here to oppose this amazing project, I know you are worried about the values of your properties, which you have of course invested in for your own and your children's futures. Well, I would argue that the Youth Hub is also an investment in your children's futures, all of our children's futures. Certainly, it will be helping young people, some of whom may be marginalised, but it will be providing the supervision and assistance to help them into a supportive and caring society. A resource for our greatest resource, you could say. Certainly, no reasonable person in their hearts really wants to oppose that. Surely we can work together for a positive outcome instead of wasting time and money that could be spent so much more productively. So please, help protect our future from unfounded fears, and don't let NIMBYism or personal greed stand in the way of a better tomorrow. A tomorrow where we don't let our children fall through the cracks of a broken society. A tomorrow where we show our young people they are worth something to us. A brighter, more caring tomorrow where, despite the challenges of the new century, we can together all have hope for the future.